Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Baroda Mahapatra, moderator of today's webinar. Welcome to the 27th webinar of ASB University Bhubaneswar, Odisha. I request all the participants to mute their audio and video to avoid any technical glitches during the session, except our panel members. Thank you very much. I also request all the participants to write their questions in the chat box, and we will discuss all these questions in the question and answer session at the end. So today's topic is the impact of online advertising during pandemic. As you know that the coronavirus pandemic has changed the face of marketing and advertising over the last few months. So marketers are trying to adjust to a new world with changing consumer habits and new strategies that keep brands relevant. As more people increase their social media usage during the pandemic, they also seem to be more willing to engage with social advertisements. The behavioral change can be attributed to the growing need to connect with others during a challenging times. So what is the impact of this online advertising on consumers that we will discuss today? As I'm not the expert to talk about this, as we have experts for the discussion. So we are fortunate to have with us Professor Utkarsh from IIM Kasipur. Professor Utkarsh has over 8 years of teaching and research experience in the field of marketing management. He received MBA and PhD from University of Lucknow. Prior to joining IIM Kasipur, he worked as a faculty member at the Taipei Management Institute, Manipal. In the beginning of his academic career, he worked as a research associate at IIM Lucknow. His research interests include information search behavior of consumers and consumer well-being. He has primarily explored the role of individual differences and consumer knowledge in information search and dissemination behavior. His recent work focuses on enhancing the financial well-being of young adults. He has published in reputed international journals such as International Journal of Consumer Studies, Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services, Services Marketing Quarterly, the Marketing Review and Information Technology and Tourism. He has reviewed manuscripts for several journals and conferences, including Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services and EMAC Conference 2007 to 2019, SACE Publications and McGraw Hill, India. I welcome you, sir, to ASB University and to this webinar. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving the opportunity to listen to you, sir. Also, we have fortunate to have with us Professor Anirban Som from IIM Trichy. Dr. Som is currently working as an assistant professor at IIM Trichy for doctoral and MBA level courses in marketing area. He has been working at IIM Trichy for more than 6 years. His teaching expertise is in subjects like marketing management, marketing research, retail management, and consumer behavior. Professor Anirban completed his PhD studies from Bond University, Australia. He did his MSc Business from the National University of Singapore. He holds an MBA degree from ICFAI Business School, Hyderabad. He had worked at HCL Infinite Limited, India after his management studies. Professor Anirban has published research articles in ABDC listed A-star and A category journals like the Journal of Business Research, International Journal of Research in Marketing, Australian Marketing Journal. He has presented papers in various top international conferences like Australia, New Zealand Marketing Academic Conference, European Association for Consumer Research Conference, Association for Consumer Research, North America and Asia Pacific Society for Marketing Advances, USA, etc. Professor Anirban is also an avid follower of sports and political issues. I welcome you, sir, to ASB University and to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now I would like to request Professor Utkarsh to address this virtual gathering. Please, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Barada Prasanna, for the introduction and inviting me. I also thank ASBM for giving me this opportunity. So let's come to the talk, and I think I have 20 minutes. I will go by the time, and accordingly, I will try to highlight some of the aspects that are very new to this situation. So what is interesting is, whatsoever we are discussing today and what we are looking at, this was unthought of, and this was just kind of a googly for everyone. Okay, so anything that has come into this way has been thought of or looked at as a very interesting kind of behavior which has happened. Though there is also a very sad part to it. We as people of marketing sometimes miss that how we are dealing with the situation, what we are trying to communicate. So I will try to balance these two perspectives where marketing is, yes, to focus on selling and to get more sales and to look at what people will be buying in the future. But marketing also has a responsibility that we also need to look at what problems people are facing and how we can solve those problems. So as a faculty of marketing, I think these are the two aspects that we should focus on. Profit is not the only purpose. That's the belief that I go and I teach also marketing in general, and I say that we also have a responsibility. So having said that, I will also like to say that my talk is mainly keeping in mind the students at your college and anybody who has joined. So I will be very simple in my approach here. I will not try to present some kind of research or data here. Rather, the focus will be on some aspects that we should look at as a common layman, and also try to understand what's happening in the industry itself. So I will try to share my PPT here. Just give me a second. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, visible, sir.
Yeah. So what we are looking at, what I will try to do in this PPT, there are two parts. One is I will try to highlight what's online advertising or what is digital advertising. And then I will try to highlight some of the aspects that have really been impacted by the COVID-19. And then how this advertising in this digital platform is also, what kind of impact it is having, how the marketeers are looking at it now. So that's the discussion or the topic that we have. But let's first set the basic context here. So how are we looking at this concept of digital advertising? So we are saying mainly whenever you are trying to use some online channels or digital channels to communicate your message, that becomes digital advertising. Now, one very basic question that people may have, how it is different from the traditional advertising. So if you see at a very basic level, these two things remain very similar. The communication is designed to sell the product, the communication is designed to create awareness, and the communication is designed to inform consumers about the product that they can use. Now, just by changing the channel, there is less impact or there is less change in that creative message. And you will see that most of the time the creative message remains very similar, but the changes are that how people are interacting with the technology today is very different. So one very basic example that I would like to cite here is that we all talk about it, how the attention span of people have gone down. So we are just hooked on to our mobile phone or maybe other technical devices, and we are giving more attention to those devices. And that's where the importance of digital advertising has increased a lot. And there have been very, very crucial changes in the past 7 to 8 years in this stream. When we look at the Google ads or when we look at Facebook ads, there are so many changes that have happened. Now, what this digital advertising is doing, it is trying to use the social media, the email, search engines, mobile apps, and other kind of affiliate programs to show the advertisement and messages to the audience. So my belief is that yes, at basic level, the communication remains very similar, but yes, how it is done and what kind of impact it has, it is going to vary. Now, what are the different types of digital advertising? So one very important aspect is that this is sometimes confusing because digital advertising is using a website or is using a particular tool, but you will see that there are different kind of ads that have emerged over the years. One very basic ad that we get to see are the display ads. So whenever you visit a website, you see a particular ad, and that ad informs you about the product, and there is a click feature on that ad. You can look at the ad and you click it, and then it will take to your website, or it will take to a Facebook page or something else. And that is basically a display of the product where consumers know. So traditionally, we have seen that these kind of display ads have not been very successful. Rather, when we say about click-through rate, which is how many people look at the ad and click it, it's been very dismissal. But still, they have very popular because they create awareness, and you can target people. You can look at the certain geographic region, and then you can communicate with the audience. Some of the other ads that come into the display ads are banners, pop-ups, and flash ads. So you will see some big banner comes onto your screen, and these can also be classified as display ads. Apart from that, the emergence of social media is again very critical in this digital advertising stream, and we'll talk about how it has a lot of potential when it comes to advertising on social media platforms. So what kind of ads can be designed? We say you can use images or you can use video ads, and these ads have become very powerful because people are hooked on to these social media platforms, and that's where marketers have gained a lot of engagement. They have also gained a lot of views, and they have become a very strong point of advertising for marketing people. Apart from that, we also know about search ads, where Google helps you in designing those ads. You can run a campaign, you can measure the success of those ads. So search ads, what we call whenever we search using a keyword, we also get to see the ads related to that keyword, and those becomes the search ads, or these are mainly textual in nature. And pay-per-click function works here mainly, where if you click on the ad, then the advertiser will have to pay. And if you click on the ad as a consumer, you will be taken to a particular website where you can take some action. You can buy the product, or you can subscribe, or you can download some app. So search ads have also become popular. And one of the new things, I would not say very new, but still it has gained more attention in the last 5 6 years, are native ads, where we try to build the ad into the original content. So generally for the consumer, it becomes difficult to differentiate between the original content and the ad which is placed. So, some people also have some ethical issues related to it, but still they have gained more popularity because, on a website, whenever you post other news items, you also can place the ad there. So even if you go on Amazon, you will see the results of the product search that you do, but you also see some sponsored results, and they are very much built into the same system where you are searching. So that is why we call it native. So they look like the original story piece, but actually they are ads. But you will see a small blink here, or a small point which says it is sponsored. Now, given these tools that the marketeers have, uh, before the pandemic, or you can say even today, we have been talking about how to use these tools. So you will see the big advertisers have tried to use all the tools. So they try to spend money on each and everything, and then they try to dominate the market. So for example, if you search Amazon on Google search, in the ad you will also see the Amazon ad, and in the original search result you will also see the Amazon's website. So they try to spend a lot of money on these platforms so that they remain connected, and it makes sense because they are truly online firm, and you can do everything online and you can buy the products. So we have seen how big brands have started spending huge money on digital platforms, and they have also dominated it. But if you are aware about Google's digital marketing program, or if you are looking at how this Facebook has been working, they have also enabled a lot of small firms to work in this area, where they encourage small businesses to advertise online, and that also opens up a huge market for them. And the power of localization is again a very important factor, which has motivated small businesses to join these platforms. So what is the benefit in these kind of platforms is that, for example, in a search ad, you can say that my ad should only be visible in Delhi. And that kind of capability is not available in any other kind of traditional platforms. Or if you go on TV, you can't do that. If you go on radio, again, if you advertise on FM or particular region, it is possible. But still, you can't match other demographic data. For example, the age group of consumers, the type of consumers, which has been made possible by these kind of ads. Now I will just show few examples of these ads. So this one here, the Google ad here is a search ad, whereas the promoted stories blog uh, is a native ad where you see same kind of material is there, whereas the last one here you see is a display ad. So you are visiting a website and you see a particular ad, and maybe you can click on it. Otherwise, it creates impressions. Now, given this, tools, given this online advertising tools that we have, now what are the challenges that marketers have faced over the years is that to decide which one to use, how to use, and also to gain understanding about these tools, and also to measure their effectiveness. There has always been this issue: which one is more effective? Am I getting more traction on Facebook ads, or maybe I'm getting more traction from Google ads or search ads that I'm posting? So these kind of things have been made easy by measuring the insights and analytics provided by the platform itself. So you can go on Facebook and you can see how many views of the ads are there, and what kind of people have looked into the ad. You can get the demographic data. Same thing is with Google, which gives you a Google Analytics platform. So when you are doing a campaign, a search campaign, search ad campaign, you can again look at the Google Analytics. It will tell you how many impressions you had, how many people clicked it, what was the price you paid for each click, and all this information is available with marketeers today, which is obviously a very great addition to our tool. But let's look at what is fueling and what could post some problems given the topic that we are going to talk about, the pandemic itself. So what you will see, as rightly mentioned just in the beginning by Professor Barada, that there has been increase or surge in the consumption of internet, and similar kind of consumption has also been seen in the usage of social media. So we, as Economic Times report says that internet consumption increased by 70% post arrival of COVID. So we all know why this happened, because most of us are at home, and we want to do something, we want to get entertained, and internet is the only source. So today we also see a culture where people are not using the TV, cable TV, and then focusing more on the internet and social media and OTT platforms. So that's again one emerging space in this advertising world. So what is happening? Suppose if we look at this changes that has happened, so very interesting kind of things happen. For example, sales of bicycle has gone up, sales of hair color gone up, coffee gone up, vitamins and supplements increased. So we all know everyone is looking for vitamin C and vitamin D to consume. Now, what most of the people will be doing, they are going to search online, and that facility that is available for consumers, that information which is available for consumers, has become very valuable. So apart from the normal products, so why people you started looking for bicycle? Because kids are at home, they want to do something, and bicycle is a great source of exercising and spending time. And so there is a more surge in such kind of thing. Hair color, because now you can't visit your beauty parlor or the salon, and that's where you need to color your hair at home, and that's where you are going to order more of it. So these kind of changes have also shown that maybe marketers need to evolve according to the need of consumers. And this sales data that I'm giving you, the information that I'm giving you, is from a JP Morgan report, which analyzed a huge number of consumer sales data across the world, and then they came up with these suggestions. Whereas if you look at what decreased, so some of the common products that we buy in our daily life had a less amount of sales. For example, the sales of cosmetics went down, sunscreen went down because people are not going to use this. They don't need sunscreen now. They're not stepping out. Whereas travel, we all know one of the worst hit sectors has been travel, and the challenge for the marketing people is how to look at their own products and then come up with a plan to tackle and to use digital advertising in this context. So given this kind of change which has happened, where no one was even thinking of what will be happening, uh, the data that we get today is that search ads or the online advertising has been very impactful and also helpful for consumers. So I'm just taking this data from WordStream. So where we see how over the after the COVID, there has been increase in the search ad clicks and search ad conversion rate of medical supplies and pharmaceuticals. So more and more people are going online looking for information and using the search ads. So given the kind of demand which comes from consumers, if by understanding those requirements, we can leverage that demand, we can accordingly set our ads, and then we can put that information so we can get better conversion. So what is relevant for consumers in this era is the most important thing that we have to figure out. And if marketing people can do that, that's the one of the best thing that they can do to get more and better conversion rates. So obviously we know how medical supplies and pharmaceuticals have been in demand, and that's where the impact of online advertising has also created that ecosystem where it can be the information can be provided online and people can also buy it online. Now, what happened after the pandemic? So most of the time we see whenever there is a situation of recession or we expect that there is going to be less demand, marketeers stop spending huge amount of money. And that was also true when this pandemic came into picture. And we some data points tell us that around 49% of brands paused campaigns that they previously expected to launch in 2020, and 45% stopped ad campaigns altogether. Okay, so this means that marketeer again became very cautious on what they want to spend. So again, they have to choose from this bucket of a bouquet of tools that they have. So again, I have to decide which one I have to choose. Should I focus on social media ads? Should I focus on search ads? And what I have to do? Whereas other brands have also dominated it with innovation and creativity. So what some brands try to do, they try to start spending more because they see that maybe more consumers will be searching for us, more consumers will be interested in our brand, and that's how they have tried to put more creativity. So just a few minutes back, I was looking at one ad which was of a detergent, a Ghadi detergent, where they show that they have put a mask on the packet itself, and they show that because they care, and that is the relevance of the product here. And because to show that care, they have put the mask. They are also trying to create awareness that you should also wear mask if you want to care for people who are near you. So these kind of messages again have become more important, and accordingly, you have to choose between what kind of sources are relevant for you. So now, what other important things that happened in this advertising industry as far the pandemic is concerned is the number of impressions, the views that people have, the number of times people look at something. For the mobile has gone up by 32% if we compare it with the quarter one of 2019. Whereas over the top advertising, where we see different kind of demand channels are there, uh, we have seen a 182% increase in the number of impressions. So you will see a lot of platforms have come up which are advertising platforms, or maybe you can use them as an advertising platform to put their ads. So these are kind of major changes that have happened, and you can see that maybe more and more money will be diverted towards the overall digital environment where mobile advertising will gain more focus and over the top advertising will gain more focus. Now, given the context that we have discussed about these things, where we see that there is a change happening, there is a change in focus of consumers, the behavior has changed. Accordingly, marketeers have to adopt in this context. So my next few slides that I'm going to talk about are about how this impact of advertising in this pandemic region can be enhanced. So you will have, as a marketing person, you will see that they will have less budget. They will have to be more economical. They will have to show that they are getting better results. And apart from these all kind of things, when the market shows that the demand is still low, you can still focus on engaging with your customers. So that's one very important thing, where the engagement or with the customer and to maintain that relationship with the customer is very important. Today, you just can't say in this competitive world that because this is a situation of pandemic and I have less revenues, or maybe I have been low on profits, I'm not going to advertise and engage with my customers. This means that you will be losing out your customers to the new companies, to the startups, or to the big firms who are investing in advertising. So you just can't be out of the market where you say that, okay, I'm going through loss, so I will not be advertising. This is not the possibility. This is not the option that you have as a marketing person today, which was maybe possible around 20 years back when marketers said, let's not advertise, let's stop our advertising, and maybe after 3-4 months when the demand improves, I will start advertising. That can be done maybe by some big brands, but still that has become not an option for us or for the marketing people today. So what we are going to do is to look at some of the options that we have, or how we can make this more effective in a particular context of the pandemic itself. So one of the very important things that has happened during this pandemic is that consumers have become, very, very vocal. So they have been trying to judge each and every brand. So today you would have seen on different social media platforms that suppose if you post a picture of distributing food and some items, some people appreciated, but some people also criticized. They said, why are you showing this? This is not something that you should show to people. If you are doing something good, it is for your own benefit, or maybe it is something that is your responsibility. So why are you showing this? So you have to be very, very authentic today. You just can't say, okay, I helped so many people, or maybe I distributed free food. And your message should be very, very genuine. Accordingly, you also have to be very authentic in your communication. This is one part, where we can also sometimes criticize marketing. That today you will see, everything is becoming, a kind of product which kills bacteria, which kills virus, without any kind of, typical research that should be done. Every product is trying to add that benefit. This kind of behavior may not be, gelled well with consumers, and they may take it in a very negative manner, where they also understand. So you have to be very truthful in advertising. What are you saying? Why are you saying this? And that authenticity of communication should make your communication more relevant. So the idea here is that you present something which is true, so that consumers believe in you, and you don't need to advertise and repeat it for 10 times so that they remember it. Because given the kind of environment we have today, when everything is very dramatic, authenticity is something which can really create a space for you, which can create a unique position for you. And if you're not authentic, you will also see that different kind of platforms may also curb your presence. So if you see the Marketing Tech News shared information that Facebook has had to remove more than 7 million ad posts that were considered to be conspiracy marketing related to COVID-19 information. So given this, arena where anybody can post an ad, any page can post an ad, we don't know what is happening, and anybody can sell any kind of product. So again, the negative part of such space, but still we need to be authentic in this context. One thing that we have seen, or that the advertising industry has also responded to it, is that the preference for local retailers. People want to see local news, people want to travel locally, and in this context the advertising has become more local. So you are trying to focus on how we can focus on particular city, or the people living in a particular city, so that we can communicate to them. Now it's not the time to communicate about the global issues, or maybe to talk about the whole India. Rather, you have to talk about the city, because most of the people are in the city and they can't move outside. So and they will be looking for more engagement in the city itself. So if they can't move to other cities, if they can't move, trying to look in what they have. And that's why the presence on Google, or updating your address and advertising for the local consumer is more important. Now, apart from that, also brands, if what we have seen is that online advertising has also addressed the health concerns of users. So this is one of the very positive area where brands have tried to come up with ideas and sessions on how you can take care. Accordingly, create a system where consumers are also concerned, and then they take the right steps. And advertising also tilted towards the safety parameter, which was the focus by brands. So even, for example, food delivery services, if you recall, every food delivery service was talking about taste or the speed of the delivery, but nobody was talking about whether the food cooked is safe or not, or whether they are healthy food or not. what is the content or what is the nutrition value of the food which is being delivered. Now, these kind of communication will have a better chances of success because consumers are now concerned about these things. Many of them may be asking whether this food has vitamin C, or maybe is it nutritious, is it something which can enhance my immunity. And accordingly, food delivery services also responded, where they not only highlighted the value of the food, they also highlighted that we are delivering it safely, we are packing it safely, and it will be better for your health. So all these kind of attributes that which were not present earlier were visible in the online platforms and online advertising. Similarly, airlines, they also promoted protocols. They, instead of just communicating about what kind of experience you have inside the airline, the focus was on communicating on how safely we are doing everything so that you can be relaxed. And then the last point that I just touched upon earlier was that despite the decline in sales, or maybe not getting the traction that you are expecting, which has been the case in the online advertising industry, where people have advertised, but they are not getting the right kind of conversions because of low demand. Still, the focus of this advertising has been on engagement, where you talk about your brand, where you talk about your attributes, and you focus on educating customers so that they still maintain the connect and they still maintain the engagement with you in the long run. And once they have the capability to buy and the demand increases, you will be the first brand in the mind of the consumers. So the message here is that the advertising has to go on in a manner which can help the society, which can help the consumers, and still maintain the loyalty of consumers. And when once the demand picks up, they again come back to the same brand, to your brand, and accordingly you can have a better engagement with your customers. So given the time, I think this is what I have. I'm open to questions as per the.
Thank you very much,
Should we
sir.
take questions now, or we can we take it?
Sir, at the end of the session, we will go for the question answer session.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
very
you,
much, sir.
everyone, for your
Insights.
patience.
Beautifully explained about the advertising,
Yeah.
digital advertising, types of digital advertising, and the impact of this digital advertising on consumer behavior. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to request Professor Anirban Som to address this virtual gathering. Please, sir.
Just need to share. How do I share my slides here?
Sorry, sir.
How do I share my slides?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can someone just guide me through? I mostly use Zoom. So yeah, can someone just guide me through how to share the slides here?
So at the right hand side, you will see present now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So yes, you can click on present now, and then.
All right. Yes.
Then your entire screen.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
No, sir. So, no, sir, not yet. So you click on present now, then entire screen,
Okay,
then click on the screen, then okay.
Yeah. Can you see it now?
Now it's coming.
Visible?
Now it's coming.
Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. Just a second. Okay. Okay. So.
Yes, sir, it's totally visible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Professor Utkarsh has already given you a very good overview of the concepts of digital marketing. And so what I'm going to do, firstly, thank Professor Mahapacho and SPM University for inviting me to this webinar. So the way in which I have designed my presentation is that I've kept it a little bit general without going much into details. So the flow of my presentation is like I'll be covering a few topics, firstly in the offline context, right? And then I'll move to the online context and see how those are working out. So as you can look at the topic of my presentation, so as we all know, right, because the main theme of this presentation is impact of online advertising, right? And so what I've done is that I've chosen the theme of storytelling, right? We all know that good and successful brands, okay, have sustained for years in their minds of consumers through very impactful and very well thought out storytelling, right? So I'll give you some examples first of some successful brands or personalities related to storytelling in the offline context, and then I'll move to how brands can use storytelling, right, as an important marketing tool in the online context, especially in the times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Right? So that will be the theme of my presentation. Right. So I'll quickly move on. Right. See, we lost a great footballing legend yesterday. Right. Diego Maradona. Right. You may like to ask the students here. I mean, if they can share the reason in the chat box. So, when you think about Diego Maradona, right? So, what comes to your mind first? I mean, what are the things that comes to your mind first? Yeah, I'd like to see some responses on the chat box, if that's allowed. Any viewpoint, right, on what is it that comes to your mind about Maradona? Okay. Great football. Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else? Okay. See, if you think about Diego Maradona, right? The first topic, or one of the very, I would say, interesting topics, okay, that come up is the '86 World Cup, right, which he single-handedly won, right, for Argentina. And then you think about the goals that he scored there, and the story that comes up is the hand of God, right, in the quarterfinal against England, okay, or in the match against England, in which actually he used one of his hands, right, to score a goal. And we followed that up, okay, with a very interesting goal, right, dribbling past 7 players. And the thing is, this sort of this interesting event, I was using a hand to score a goal, that sort of resonated, right, across the popular press and subsequently across generations, which sort of made Maradona a very popular figure. I would say a very successful personality, for which people have remembered him and they adore him and they admire him. The story of Maradona, if you think about it, started on the '86 World Cup, the hand of God. Okay, and then subsequently, of course, there are many more interesting events that happen throughout his life, both on and off the field. Now, let's think about this example, right? If you think about the movie Sholay, and we think about Amjad Khan, and if you think about the other actors who were there in the movie, this movie had a number of actors, right? So they had Amjad Khan, they had Amitabh Bachchan, they had Dharmendra, they had Sanjeev Kumar. And this person was a relatively unknown actor at that point of time. It was a small brand, if you think about it, a relatively unknown brand, right? As compared to the bigger brands, like an Amitabh Bachchan or Dharmendra. But still, he was able to create a very successful niche, right, in the minds of consumers, right, in the minds of the moviegoers. So that the famous dialogues, kitne aadmi the, or for example, so jani to gabbar aa jayega. These punchlines now resonated across public, moviegoers across generations, even till today. So sort of Amjad Khan became synonymous, okay, with the movie Sholay, just like a Maradona or a Pele become synonymous with football. Essentially, you see that the movie Sholay was able to create a very prominent space in the minds of consumers through the successful storytelling along their villain Gabbar or Amjad Khan. Moving on to this COVID-19 pandemic situation, you see, one of the lesser-known celebrities, right, Sonu Sood, and he sort of garnered a lot of attention. In the sense, when the migrant workers were struggling, right, to go from their place of work, say Mumbai or Delhi to UP or Bihar, to the native places, so there was, I mean, the help that was coming was very insufficient. So this Sonu Sood sort of stood out, and it helped them in various ways, in terms of providing them with food, accommodation, transportation, money, etc. And it became a very popular name, not only amongst moviegoers, but amongst all spectrum, right, of the public. To the extent that a couple of days back, I was reading an article, right? I think it was from Business Line, for one of the popular business articles, in which they were stating that in terms of social media engagement, Twitter engagement, right, Sonu Sood has overtaken celebrities like Shah Rukh Khan and Amir Khan, and they have primarily attributed this, to the great services that he has provided to the the stranded migrant workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. So once again, Sonu Sood becomes synonymous with the story of him having helped migrant workers, to the extent that at the time of Durga Puja in Calcutta, right, there was a statue of Sonu Sood in one of the pandals, right? And so essentially, three examples that I gave, I got examples of three famous personalities who have been able to create a synonymity, right, to the stories that they created. Either can be through their profession, for example, like for Maradona or for Gabbar in Sholay, or for example, from Sonu Sood, who has created a synonym, with the type of social services that he has provided, during the pandemic. Right. Now, stories are a very important part, right, of business. Okay, for example, see the context of movies. Let's say the context of movies. For example. So you see, the entire spectrum of movies has changed, right, during the COVID-19 pandemic. So previously, movies were positioned, as cinema theaters, right, multiplexes. They used to position themselves as a place where you could watch movies, casting your favorite stars, and also a place where you could go out and have fun, right, with your friends, with having a popcorn, like relaxing on a sofa in a multiplex, taking the corner seat, and watching the movie with excellent surround sounds, excellent settings, etc. Now, come to the COVID-19 pandemic, the situation has changed completely, right? So now people can no longer, or they are no longer willing, right, to go to movie theaters to watch movies, and hence it presented a scope for online platforms, OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, then for example, Alt Balaji and others, right, to take that space. Now, what they did, so for movie theaters, the story was around movie plus experience, right, for the PVR for INOX. For Netflix or for Alt Balaji or for Amazon Prime, the story is like, okay, we cannot provide you with the experience of a movie theater. Maybe only 3 or 4% of people can have that, can afford very expensive home theaters, and they have enough space in their houses, right, to recreate movie experience similar to the theaters. But what Netflix promises you, or what an Amazon Prime promises you, is that, look, our story is like this. So we can provide you with a lot of content, right, which is possibly not there, right, in the traditional movie theaters. For example, say, Netflix originals, or for example, say documentaries, or for example, say movies in regional languages, or for example, movies in web series, right? Or for example, giving opportunities to lesser known actors to showcase their talents, right? To change the narrative around ideas like nepotism, which has struck the movie industry in Bollywood so hard, especially after the death of Sushant Singh Rajput. So then, coming from the story of movies featuring only celebrities, Netflix has now come up with a positioning of movies and created a story around new content, customizable content, tailor-made content, and a platform which provides equal opportunity, right, to actors across spectrums. Need not be celebrities only. To the extent that I was listening to an interview, right, of the one of the what do you call that, senior persons, at Alt Balaji, right. So what she was saying, was that customization in Netflix, or across online platforms, like Alt Balaji, has gone now, to an extent that, say, for example, I'm watching a movie. I'm watching a movie. So say halfway through the movie, right, I would be asked, what is my opinion on the movie? Which direction should the movie take? And what should be the ending, right, of the movie? Accordingly, they will create 2 or 3 alternatives, which they will show to me, customized, to my needs and preferences. Right, so that is the level, at which online movie platforms, like Netflix and Amazon Prime, are taking customization too, and that is the story that they're building, right? That our movie is not for everyone, it is tailor-made for you. So that's the narrative that they're creating, right? So if you think about the, if someone has read this book, right, 12 Red Herrings, right, Jeffrey Archer, was 1994. So they had something like this, right? So the story One Man's Meet, it offered the reader 4 different conclusions, right? For example, a man meets a beautiful woman in a movie theater. What can be the possible directions, right? Can we go out for a date? Can be the meeting stops there? Can be going out for a dinner, then meeting later on, etc. So similar experiences are now being created in the online platforms, like in Netflix or Amazon Prime, and that is what they're highlighting, right? When they're communicating, okay, with the consumers. Right? So your story is just a click away. So that's what customization means, right, for Netflix or Amazon Prime in today's world. Then secondly, providing you with an element of unexpected, right? So if I go back to the previous slide, right? So this Netflix or Amazon Prime, their focus is on staying relevant in the sense like all the people can't watch movies in the theaters. At least they can watch movies, right, on OTT platforms, and that's how they're helping movies staying relevant. And through this customization, what they're doing essentially is that they're focusing on deepening existing relationships. Right. So when you have Mirzapur, okay, series 2 coming out, the previous customer who had liked Mirzapur would come back and again subscribe to Netflix. And if he likes this episode, he'll keep subscribing. This for Mirzapur and other similar contents. So staying relevant and focusing on deepening existing relationships. Okay, that's one of the themes, okay, of storytelling for these online platforms. Then providing an element of unexpected. Right. So say, you see, in the times of the pandemic, right, various erstwhile offline platforms have resorted to online platforms to stay relevant. We have heard about, for example, online discourse. We have heard about things like quarantining, right, when people set ground rules for 14 days of quarantine before they actually go and meet. Then we have heard about, for example, online yogas. Okay, we have heard about, for example, online DJs, online dinner parties. All these sort of are taking the offline content to the online content. Even in the context of, say, tourism industry, right? Say, for example, you think about places of attraction, for example, the museums. Right? Traditionally, you have people going to the museums, right, to go around and take a tour. During the time of the pandemic, you had museums offering virtual tours. Now, this Getty Museum in the US, they took it one level further. So they gave a very interesting, they found out a very interesting way to stay engaged with customers. So they told customers, they gave you a model, say a model of a statue in one of the Getty museums, right, in the US, right? And they told you, right, you pick up any 3 items which are lying around in your house and try and come out, okay, with a figure which is similar to the statue that we are showing you, or similar to these items that we are showing you. And hence what happened was that they kept engaged, they kept the level of engagement very high with the customers through this very, unique exercise. And what it did was that people started talking about Getty Museum. See, the idea is that there are thousands of museums, right? Right? Many of them are offering virtual tours. But then what is it that makes you stand out? What is it that makes you so different? So that is what Getty Museum was trying to do by providing this element of unexpected. And that is what storytellers do. When a brand tells a story, right, the idea is to make yourself feel differentiated from almost a huge clutter of brands which are out there. Now in the online space, everyone is giving virtual tools. How do you differentiate yourself? So this is the way, by providing an element of the unexpected. If I take this back, right, to the initial example that I gave, right, of Diego Maradona, okay, and his hand of God. See, there are so many people who might have scored goals, right, with their hands. Some of them might have been disallowed, some of them might have been allowed. But why do people remember Diego Maradona? Because of the attention and the subsequent story that got attached or associated, right, with that particular goal. Similarly here, you have lots of virtual tools, but this is something which takes you by surprise. And now you have people actually coming up with real models. Sometimes real models, sometimes funny models, sometimes resembling, sometimes caricatures of the models which are out there in the museums. It's a very successful way or a very innovative way of staying engaged. Okay, it's online storytelling, right, with your customers. IKEA, once again an offline store. Now, how to stay relevant in the online space? Because people have stopped coming to the stores, but at least the footfalls have decreased greatly. So during times of the pandemic, what IKEA did, through their social media handles, what they started doing was that they wanted people not to forget about IKEA. So they gave people, these nice, what do you call that, models, tools, instructions on how to build furniture forts, right, for parents who are quarantined at home with their kids. The idea was that this resonates well with the main positioning of IKEA or with the core product of IKEA. They're giving you what you want, giving the furniture that you want, which you can assemble if you want to at your home. Right now, when you are out of touch with IKEA, the way in which they wanted people to get reminded of IKEA is by giving them an exercise, a fun exercise, but which is somewhat similar to the core product of IKEA. It's like allowing you to build your own house, allowing you to build your own furniture. And in this case, showing parents, okay, a way in which they could help out children to build out castles, houses, fortresses, caves, etc. Right. So staying prominent, staying on top of what do you call that? Memory recall, top of awareness in the consumer's mind. Right. That was the objective of IKEA. And once again, the idea was that once you give this to customers, they might be starting to discuss this on the social media handles. That look, IKEA has come up with something very interesting, very engaging, and hence you start talking about the brand. Right, so storytelling, right? I mean, it's very important, especially in the times of the pandemic. Now, you have to be careful, right? And as Dr. Utkarsh pointed out towards the end, all stories, right, may not be true, and you have to be careful. We also did the US elections, both in this election as well as the previous election. How social media handles were being manipulated to spread misinformation about the elections or about the pandemic. Now, I was reading Time magazine, right? So they came out with this interesting article in which they were talking about various social media handles, like for example YouTube, Facebook, then for example Twitter, and some of the checks that they have in order to prevent posting of offensive content, posting of propaganda or lies. Right? But then there are quite a few platforms which are cheaper and not as well known. Okay, these harmful content creators might still use to reach out to the public and propagate, false information, whether it be about COVID, whether it be about white supremacy, whether it be about right-wing ideas, whatnot. Okay, so the need of the hour is that, of course, I mean, content creators or platforms, okay, like social media, like what YouTube have done, Twitter have done. Right, even the smaller platforms they can do that. But then the idea is for the consumers also to be stay aware. So oftentimes what happens is that when you go to one of these lesser known platforms, oftentimes there is those advertisements, those pop-ups, those offers, which prompts you to visit that particular news and then click on it to avail that offer. The need for instant gratification. The need for instant gratification sort of makes us forget about the veracity of the news, how truthful the news is. Like for example, the false propaganda that wearing mask cannot prevent COVID, or COVID is not there. There's nothing about COVID, right? As we saw across various countries. The idea is for the consumers here is that okay, you shouldn't. I mean, of course, you have only to take those messages at face value. The idea is that you shouldn't even visiting those particular platforms. And even if you do that, you first take the veracity of the news, and don't fall into the trap of clicking on those offers and being tempted to visit those sites back and forth in order to find those offers. The message is that okay, be careful. All stories may not be true. Right. So, I'll just keep it short here, and I'll just end with one of the online campaigns, from UNICEF, which talks about how actually to stay protected, right, from COVID-19, okay, and how to not believe in fake news, right. So I'll just end with this particular slide. If you can allow me to show this video, and then I'll just say it.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please, yes.
So should I just post it in the chat box? Can all of you see this?
Yes, sir. It's visible. Sorry.
Okay, so with that again, the idea is that don't need to fake news program on social media like here. Or let's take the velocity and look at authentic platforms. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your impressive presentation with valid and interesting examples. Now we will go for the question and answer session. I request our participants to write their questions in the chat box, or directly they can unmute and ask the or put the questions to our experts. So there is a question from Annie Paul. What is the impact of artificial intelligence in digital marketing and how it is changing the industry for the startups, SME startups? Professor Utkarsh, would you like to take this question, sir?
Let's see. I think
Hello.
his screen got stuck.
Okay, sir. I request you, sir, Professor Anirban Som, sir.
So I can give you a general overview, right? I mean, so once I'm coming back to the example, right, of say Netflix, right, and then maybe I'll come to a startup, example of a startup. So the way in which Netflix is sort of tailoring their content, right, which is an important part, right, of marketing. Is that I mean they're doing it at various levels, right? As I give the examples of, right, starting from language, okay, to region, to genre, okay, to say for example, I mean, what do you call that, movie ending, etc. Right. So then maybe and actually one of the interviews that I referred to, right, during the presentation, the senior person at All Balaji, right. So what she was referring was that they're making the artificial intelligence, okay, and customer data tracking, okay, in order to tailor make these contents. So that is what they're using, very very successfully. The next question is how can that be relevant, okay, for startups? Okay, say, let's think about this, right? Let's think about some of the examples, right? Okay, These new startups, okay, in the context of food and beverages, like a raw pressery, right, or one of those fresh food idlis, right? So they are making a lot of use of artificial intelligence. Okay, not only in terms of tracking consumer preferences, but also in terms of, for example, inventory management, supply chain, transportation, and these are startups. Like for example, say, I think Idli Fresh, right? They have a zero inventory policy, and they make use of artificial intelligence and data tracking, to gauge consumer preferences and provide fresh idli. I mean, fresh batter of idli to the stores every day, right? Right. So that's the scope, okay, that artificial intelligence provides, okay, for startups, and they're like an 80-year-old company, and they are being able to do that through artificial intelligence, okay, with zero inventory all throughout, right? So if you just go and listen to one of the interviews of the what do you call that, the CEO of the startup, right? He talks about, okay, the fact that without technology, the data tracking, artificial intelligence, they would be just like one of the other, idli batter providing companies, right? With pesticide, with what do you call that, with chemicals or preservatives, and we are avoiding doing that. So that's the scope of AI for startups. Okay? Yeah.
So there is another question from Joy Uglu. How can you differentiate when a storytelling on a product is real or fake?
That's a good question. Okay, so once again, coming back, right, to some of the points that I mentioned in the interview, right? So, for example, leading platforms, so like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, right? They have these mechanisms. For example, you can report questionable content on YouTube, okay, or on Twitter. Will then flag it or bring the content down. The challenge is with the lesser known platforms. For example, I'll just give you this example, right? So there are these platforms. Here, DLive, a lesser known platform with very less filtering. The only filtering that they have is for patenting, but they're very less filtering for offensive content. So for those platforms, you have to be careful. You don't know what is a fake story, what's the real story, and you have to use your own jurisprudence, right, own wisdom to differentiate between those. So these gaps are there, and that's why there is the importance of self-regulation, so that you verify your content with your own sources without blindly believing in what the platform creator actually is providing you with. Okay. Any other question?
So there is another question from Arun Prem. Online ads are increasing revenue opportunities for companies, right? The investment in online ads are cheap compared to TV channel, TVC. The reach is also high for online ads.
I mean, Professor Utkarsh, is he online? Maybe.
Professor Utkarsh, can you hear us? Hello. Professor Utkarsh, can you hear us, sir?
I think no, he's out there. Okay. Okay, can you read out the question for me again? Which one is it?
So online ads are increasing revenue.
Okay, increasing revenue opportunities for companies. Investment in online ads are cheap, okay, compared to TVCs. The reach is also high, right, for online ads. Okay. Yeah, so all are very, very valid points. Of course, they present a lot of revenue opportunities, right? And to some extent, they can be cheaper, okay, if used wisely, okay, as compared to TV ads, definitely, right? And the reach is also high, right, for online ads. So I'll give you some examples, right? Some of the corporations actually are deliberately keeping away from offline media, especially when they're coming out with, I would say, non-conventional content. I'll give you an example. A few years back, you had Brook Bond Red Label, right, from Unilever, right? We sort of came out with an ad, okay, showing transgenders, right, and created a story on transgenders and how to integrate them, okay, through Brook Bond Red Label advertisements. and they chose to keep away from traditional media. Okay, and they went only through the online media, for example, YouTube, right, to circulate their ad. The idea here is that not only is the reach high, but also sometimes for controversial content, the audience who actually visit social media, is more relevant. Say, for example, teens and adolescents, right? They are the ones who will be more open, towards controversial ads. May not be the people, right, who are going with traditional advertisements on traditional media, like for example, senior citizens. So in that case, not only does online ad have greater reach, it also has scope for greater impact. Like was the case of Group Bond Red Label. They only circulated it through YouTube and was a huge success. Right, the Group Bond six pack band. That was the idea that they created. Right, so in terms of reach, in terms of impact, as compared to traditional media, online media definitely at times can have more opportunities. Okay. Right, investments might not be always cheap. Say, for example, the ad that I was talking about, it had all the famous celebrities. It had Hrithik Roshan. It had, for example, what do you call that? Tiger Shroff and many others, Sonu Nigam, etc. So it wasn't essentially cheaper, but then essentially had more impact and more reach, and the audience was more relevant. Yeah. So if that.
Sir, so there's another question from Sasmita Senapati ma'am. What ethical issue or standards are related to online marketing during the pandemic situation? Ethical issues and standards.
Yeah. So Professor Utkarsh would like to answer.
I think it's audible to join. Yes, sir. It's audible, sir.
Am I audible? I'm trying from last 4 or 5 minutes to enter, and then my mic was also off due to some reason. I'm sorry for that. Yes, I heard that question about ethical issues, related to digital marketing. But I would say, it's a very new space, and it's very difficult to say that, there are some specific points to highlight. But today there are some services. For example, there is a service like Factly. So whenever you are advertising or posting some information on social media pages, there is a chance that they will check it whether it is a genuine piece of information or not. So you have to be more precise on what you are sharing and what information you are giving. Otherwise, Facebook is developing its own capability to weed out such kind of messages in advertising, and accordingly they will remove such kind of ads. I think I also shared in my PPT that they are continuously removing profiles which are fake, ads which are irrelevant. So the idea is to be genuine and to have a strong website which also has a strong presence.
Hello.
Yes.
Professor Utkarsh, can you hear us?
I think his connection snapped again. Yeah.
So due to the time constraint, shall I take the last question, sir, for you, sir?
Sure, please.
Sir, Amy Paul is asking, sometimes art space used by websites is more hectic. It made it unattractive instead of making it more interesting. That's why some people who are aware of technology use ad blockers have been used. What are the provisions related to authentic ads immersed on web pages?
Yeah. So Professor Utkarsh would like to answer.
Yeah, I think I can. I will be very brief in my answer. So, see, if someone is blocking your ad, then through the ad mode, you cannot reach out to them. But for example, when you are doing native advertising, they are not blocked. If you are posting the right kind of content on your website or blog, if so, the key here is that ads are not the only source to gain consumers. The content is one of the most respected way of reaching out to consumers and getting them in your list. So try to give them content which is valuable for them, not just ads. People will block ad or stop seeing the ad when they feel that it is irrelevant. So you should also focus on the right kind of content, develop a blog where people subscribe the blog and they will come again. And in that part, you can advertise and communicate about your benefits.
Thank you very much, sir. Now coming to the end part of the webinar, I must convey my thanks to our panel members, Professor Utkarsh, Professor Anirban Som, for their presence and impressive speech on this topic. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and to grace this occasion. I must convey my special thanks to our President and Founder, Professor Vijay Patnaik, Vice Chancellor, Professor Kalyan Sankar Ray, Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Falgu Niranjana of ASP University for their support and standing behind us to make a program success. I convey my thanks to the webinar team for their support to make this event true. Last but not the least, I convey my thanks to all the participants from India and from outside of India for their cooperation and patience hearing. Thank you very much to all the participants and everyone. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Yeah, I'm also sharing my email. I'm also sharing my email in the chat box. So, further questions, you can direct me on my email because I was not able to answer the questions due to connection issue. So you can, in the chat, you can see my email and you can send your questions. I will be happy to answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Dr. Mahapatra, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Professor Utkarsh.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.